Hello everybody, this is Frenchtouchdesign with some tips on how to apply an oil finish on an epoxy table. If you are interested in the build, you can watch my linked video on grid corner tables. I will go through the build quickly here without a lot of details. So let's get into it. I got this walnut slab for cheap. Nobody wanted it. It was twisted and curved badly, so I got a great deal. To buy wood, I went through Craigslist and found a guy named Thatcher in Plymouth. I really like his place a lot. He has good prices. First, I cut the best part of the walnut slab. That's the beauty of epoxy. You can cut it the way you want. It doesn't matter. Then, I build a template from an old template, install the sides, and caulk all the way around. When the caulking is dry, I wax the bottom and the sides. I install the walnut pieces and I am now ready to pour the epoxy. I use Epoxy. I've never been disappointed. It's just a great product. I am curious to know what you are using and how it's working out. Please let me know in the comments section. To use the epoxy, get a clean bucket, a drill and a mixer, and you are good to go. There is nothing easier than epoxy. Just follow the instructions on the label, and it's mixed in 2 minutes. Then, let it sit in the bucket for 20 minutes or more. Next, make sure your template is level. Secure the slabs with screws or clamps. Go back to the bucket and remove any bubbles with a blowtorch. Now you can pour the epoxy. After pouring the epoxy, you still can go back with your blowtorch and remove more bubbles. Walk away from the epoxy pour, and to be safe, let it cure for a week. 1 week later, remove your slab and keep your template to reuse for the next project. When I pour the epoxy, I always try to add a thin coat of it underneath the slab, around 2 mm thick. It makes the bottom perfectly flat and will save you time in the next step. If you want to flatten the top yourself, use 2 2x4s underneath and 2 2x4s by 8 on the sides. Install your homemade plywood template and you are good to go. It does the job, but you have a lot of sanding to do with this inexpensive method. So, if you text Black, he can do it for you.
That's a 7-inch orbital, random orbit head.
Back in my garage, I cut the edges with my fancy track saw. It's a free saw. You cannot do better than that. Next, I sand the edges with a belt sander. It's a must-have tool. It's very powerful. The key is to move it back and forth without stopping. For the top, an orbital sander is the best. Now, for the touch-ups, you need a burning knife. You can go on the Mohawk website to get one. It's a great tool for tabletops. You should also buy a hard burning stick. Also, a quick fill stick is easier to use, but you will have a much higher quality result with a burning stick. Just heat the knife with a blowtorch and melt the hard burning stick inside the cracks. It's easy. After, use a razor blade to remove the extra material. Sand with 180 grit and then 400 for the epoxy. This touch-up method is perfect for epoxy tabletops. For very small holes, just use super glue. It's the best and the fastest for them. Now, remove the dust. I used my compressor, but a rag with mineral spirits would have been better and easier. To finish the table, I use oil from General Finish. Don't forget to close the can correctly. If not, you may start swearing in French. Trust me. My solution was to drive to Woodcraft to get a new can. It's a great store, by the way. It's eye candy for the woodworker. Anyway, once you have the oil and a foam brush, you are good to go. It's that easy. Be generous on the first coat. Apply oil against the grain of the wood and finish by applying it with the grain. When the top is done, do the edges. You will get rid of the drips. Let it dry until it's not sticky anymore. The first coat will not look great, but it's normal. You must build up the coats. The key is layer after layer application. It sounds like a long process, but it's not. Now, to scuff in between each coat, I use a fine grit sanding sponge, or you can use your 400 from sanding the epoxy. Both will do the same job. You need to scuff between each coat to make the oil stick and to make the top coat finish smooth. After scuffing, use a tack cloth to remove the dust. You can find it at any paint supply store. It's perfect for tabletops. You don't need to follow the grain when scuffing. It will not affect top coat, as you can see. I wasted my time trying to scuff with 1200 sandpaper between two coats. Just scuff with 400 or a sanding sponge in between coats, and then finally use steel wool for 0 before the last top coat. Remove the dust and apply the last coat. You will be happy with the result. Although I applied the last coat in my living room and there was no dust and not much smell. Personally, I am impressed with these products. It's extremely easy to apply and looks amazing with walnut. If you ever have damage or scratches down the line, you can sand again on site, reapply a coat and you are good to go. It's extremely strong when dry. I hope this helps with your build. Thanks and see you soon in the next video, where I will talk about how to build an easy wood table base. Thanks again.